right? Pretty sure it's Thursday. um, October 19th, 2023. A little bit after 1, almost 1:10. We're close enough to it. And I thought I'd do a short question and answer. And if no one pops up, I'll do my own questions and I'll do my own answers. Um, I just got finished watching, I'm staring at the screen, Burpee Bandits.
Included tofu, roasted vegetable.
His reply to Lee Hazard and Lee Hazard's video on whether or not Busy Dad is a fake natty or not. It's funny following fitness channels on YouTube, and I see quite a bit of those natty or not videos, and I guess they're a popular way of gaining some attention. But honestly, I don't care. I don't care if someone's natty or not. I don't understand why hiding it, unless, you know, someone like Liver King, I guess, who was making money on certain supplements, as well as lifestyle. So he had a vested interest in people thinking that he got that way by eating, I can only assume, liver. Lots of liver. You don't get to be named the Liver King unless perhaps you have a really big liver, you know, that you show off in some sort of liver competition. I don't know. But I know my dad used to like liver. And my mom refused to cook it for him. So one of the few things my dad ever cooked was his own dinner when he wanted liver. As well, he would invite me. And actually, I didn't mind it in my pre-vegan days. However, it's my understanding that organ meat is not the best meat to eat, particularly liver, which is the cleansing house of the body, cleansing toxins from the system. Why somebody would eat that, as well as eating scavengers from the ocean or riverbeds, such as lobsters, crabs, catfish, is beyond me, knowing what we know, particularly the conditions that the ocean and even our fresh water find themselves in. So if that is a question that comes up, the answer is no, I don't eat liver. And no, I've never been in a liver competition with someone before. To be honest, I don't follow too many people outside of the in the fitness world, outside of burpee community and burpee adjuncted. A few kettlebell guys, kettlebell sport guys in particular, of course, Dan John. Everyone should follow Dan John, whether you are doing his style of workouts or not. He just has useful information on everyone, specifically these days, not just being fit and active as you're aging, but being fit, active, strong, and a competitive athlete as you age. Dan John is older than me, and he is stronger. Of course, he's always been stronger than me. And more competitive. He gets out there. He gets on the platform still. It's been 3 years since I've done an ultra race. It's been more than a decade since I've did on a makeshift platform for kettlebell sport. Not really interested too much. I'm sure I will do another ultra one day. Who knows when. My friend Duncan Walsh is here. Hey, Duncan. I'm surprised you didn't come up in the natural or not discussion. Lee Hazard put out the video whether or not somebody posted, and Lee put a reply on whether or not someone was natural. But I could easily see someone looking at how explosively you move and saying, you know, maybe he's on, you know, testosterone replacement. I know you're not. And I know Max isn't. on any kind of performance enhancing drug, because what would he gain? He doesn't make his living on YouTube. He's not any type of, fitness influencer. He's a professor at a college. He's just now getting his doctorate degree. To get a few more burpee reps is sort of ridiculous. And I can only think too much muscle mass would be a hindrance for a squash athlete. You need lean muscle to be sure. You need to be explosive, but you don't want to be. You don't want to carry any excess bulk. That would only. My views, of course, Duncan, you can correct me. My view is that it would be a hindrance. Yeah, Max has said that he takes creatine, but the rest is ridiculous. I take creatine as well, and I don't look like Max. I've had the opportunity several times to use performance-enhancing drugs. Most recently, I guess in my late 40s, my doctor said if I was low on energy, that most people at that age consider it. It wasn't much of a consideration. I thought maybe it would help me recover from ultras. But in the end, when you go on it, you're almost on it for life. And I don't want to be on anything for life. I don't want to be on creatine for life. I don't want to be on multivitamins for life. Some things are helpful. To get a few more reps, to recover a little faster, just didn't seem worth it to me. Duncan says that there were drug tests for squash tournaments. They would actually watch the urine coming out of your body. Wow. What would be the type of drugs they'd be on the lookout for? It would be interesting to see, what, again, I could see how testosterone and everything would help you be a little more explosive, stronger, recover faster. But I just wonder if it would make that much difference in a game of squash versus someone like you who puts in those serious hours training. Duncan says that he's not sure which drugs actually, as he had no real knowledge of them. Yeah, I could see maybe some type of, I don't know, an upper before a match, maybe. I know it was an issue for ultras, doping. Oddly enough, the only drug I ever considered for an ultra was marijuana. Which, if you think about it, I'm not advocating marijuana, but it's a perfect drug for ultra runners. Here's the problems that ultra runners face: pain, nausea, losing your appetite. Marijuana addresses all three. Reduces inflammation and pain. Definitely makes you feel better, so I've been told. It decreases nausea and it increases your appetite. So you eat more at an aid station, so you better fuel and you keep going. Again, I'm not advocating for it. It is what it is, says I heard marijuana. Yeah, I recall a video of you talking about your fondness for smoke, as well as, I guess, that was the price increase. Duncan says he tried creatine once at pulled a groin, which would usually take 10 days to be fully back. After 5 or 6 days, I was able to play the match fine. Creatine I think it would be more helpful for a squash match than ultra running, because it obviously increases the ATP that your body stores that you use in an explosive fashion, such as squash. It doesn't do anything for endurance, or much, so there's really no need. for me, I like it. It helps me, definitely helps me with burpees, and it allows me to keep on a little extra weight. It is what it is, says, I'm tuned in, Eric. um, he also says that creatine to me is only water weight. I agree. Of course, the newer creatine actually doesn't have as much water retention as it used to. What it does do is allow you to train harder, which means you'll put on more muscle if everything is in equal fashion, equal order. So you'll put on muscle. If you're training and put on muscle, creatine will help you. It helps with the explosiveness. Duncan says there's lots of reports of cramps with creatine. One player I knew took it and suffered with cramps. That's another thing that has supposed to have been improved with the newer versions of creatine. It used to definitely cause cramps, which is why a lot of runners, even short distances, sprinters, didn't like to use it. So, he says this was 30 years ago. Yeah, it was actually notorious for causing cramps. So it wasn't recommended for endurance athletes, but it's different now, and you can take capsules, which is what I do. We can, Lewis, we can swing back to marijuana whenever you want. Duncan asks, so if people take creatine, are they considered natty? They are, because I guess it's only considered like human growth hormone or testosterone, any kind of steroid, or diuretic for getting lean, or insulin for getting lean. But and it's weird. I actually don't care if people use performance-enhancing drugs. It used to be a weird thing in the Olympics, knowing that every country in the world did, and yet if you got caught, you were kicked out of the games. And it was always, some countries had better masking agents than others, or randomly got caught, or whatever. It just doesn't seem, in a free society, if you want to use performance-enhancing drugs, do so. Be open about it. Compete against other people who are using performance-enhancing drugs. Don't lie about it and compete against people who don't. But in the fitness community, why would someone like Max want to, for an extra burpee rep? He's a humble guy. Kind of ridiculous. Lewis says that, let's see. It is what it says, okay, so marijuana. I like it, but only when I know I'm not going to do anything else the rest of the day. So I smoke at night and it helps me sleep better. I would agree with that. It's good for a lot of things. There's a great video of a man with Parkinson's disease smoking and watching his tremors subside. It's medicinal for a lot of people. Let's see. The down part is that I eat everything. That is, but that's an upside for, again, using it in an ultra race, because it helps you fuel better. Duncan says, so Max is taking more than just good food, but that's okay. I guess caffeine is enhancement as well. Caffeine is definitely an enhancement. And it was considered not illegal, but something to be concerned with. Turn of the previous century, pedestrianism was one of the biggest spectator sports in the world. Madison Square Garden used to have walking competitions lasting for days. And one of the aids that they did was cocaine with whiskey or rum mixed in, and they would drink it as they went. Let's see. It is what it is. Says drunk to me. I don't think so. It's creatine. Yep. Destiny Forever Walks, PhD is here. Good day and blessings, and good day and blessings to you as well, my friend. Let's see. Duncan says I have to be careful with caffeine. Blood sugar payback after makes me prone to migraines. And some people have the opposite effect, actually. With some people, it will help with migraines. A little bit of caffeine. This says, damn, that must have been one hell of a kick on that drink. Yeah, I think it probably was. Hey, if you're doing like a 6-day race, they used to call it heel toe competitions, because when you walk competition walking, it's heel to toe, the opposite of how you want to run, actually. They did what they had to do. Opium was big back then as well. I've cut down on my caffeine as well, Duncan. I have 1 cup a day in the morning, and that's right around 4 o'clock in the morning. It's after I've been up for an hour, I've meditated, I've done my first session of yoga, I make my coffee, instant, organic. Weirdly, I like instant coffee. And I'm too lazy to brew, so I just boil water. And I have that 1 cup, which I really look forward to, I really enjoy, but I don't want any more than that 1 cup. I used to drink it relentlessly through the day. Lewis says I have 1 cup before my first cup. And then you got to have that 1 cup after your first cup, just to even things out, of course. As mentioned before, and actually Duncan commented when I mentioned this, my diet itself is remarkably clean. I do take a few supplements. I mentioned I take creatine, I take a multivitamin, I take extra B12, not because I'm vegan, but because a large percentage of the population have trouble processing B12. It's depleted from our soil, so we get less of it than we used to, so it doesn't hurt to take extra. I also take vitamin D, I take a little extra magnesium, and I take melatonin, actually. As I've suffered some extremely bad sleep issues. Much better now, because I've addressed everything in my life to help me get to sleep, as it was just so painful, and I needed to be sharp to take care of my father at the time. Duncan says he has no caffeine. Well, the odd time. Hey, Eric, perhaps you would do a video to demonstrate some yoga designed to decompress the spine. I could do that, definitely. And that has been a big thing for me, actually. Sivananda Yoga, which is the yoga style that I practice, it's a form of Hatha Yoga, is very much focused on the spine. It's focused on the body's energy system, the subtle body, not just physical body, but the subtle body, which is our energetic body, the chakra system, aligns the spine. And the saying in yoga is that you are only as young as your spine is. And years ago, early 90s or late 80s, I hurt my back deadlifting. Every so often, it'll flare up again. It used to bother me sometimes, really long training miles. Let's see. So, yes, I do. And here's a recent thing that I've been doing. Any upward, horizontal movements, vertical movements, horizontal, vertical, is going to help decompress the spine. And of course, hanging from a pull-up bar, excellent way to, which I do every day, part of my warm-up. But deep squat position, butt to the floor, very deep, hold it, and standing forward bend, seated forward bend, shoulder stand, the plow pose where you're bringing your legs up over your head, cobra where you're at that curve, not extending the arms all the way, and I will do some kind of video for sure, and it doesn't take much. 5 or 6 different moves. I recently had a conversation with Osiris, Derek here, and we talked about my cheater bench. The cheater bench in yoga is a bench that helps you do a headstand. Takes the pressure off the head, pressure off the neck, allows you to get up easy and hold it for longer. And I fought that for a long time, even though my headstand sucked. But after decades of working with headstands, I realized that although maybe I would get better, maybe, I'm not getting the full benefits of what I want from it because I can't hold it for that long. And when I do hold it for that long, my neck bothers me a little bit, my shoulders bother me a little bit. So I went with the cheater bench, and I absolutely love it. I'm holding headstands for minutes on end. It fits seamlessly into my yoga sessions. Highly recommend it. Barefoot Burpees has one, and he credits that with easing a lot of back issues that he's had through the years. Destiny says that would be a very interesting topic. Yeah, anything we do for our back, I think, is going to be interesting. Duncan says with squash and lunge jumps, squats, jumping, lunging, port sprints, the glutes are used a lot. I find using a tennis ball on the glutes eases lower back. Perhaps they pull on the pelvis when stiff. I don't know. Here's what I do know. Of course, the glutes play a big part in back health. That when we think of the core, and we mainly think of the abs, sometimes the obliques, but we ignore the lower back, and we ignore the hips, and we ignore the glutes. That's all part of the core. All of it is integral in keeping the spine healthy. I use a lacrosse ball because it's a little harder than a tennis ball on my glutes, as well as other types of foam rollers. It is what it is, says Eric, spitting facts. I try. Easing glutes for me really helps that area. It does. And you know what? Foam rolling on my lower back itself doesn't seem to address any issues. I do feel better. My glutes, foam rolling my glutes, foam rolling the hips, the adductors as well. Now, what the foam roller does help on my back is as I work up from the lower back. It'll help the mid-back area, upper shoulders, lower trap area quite a bit. Spinal twisting in yoga helps the lower back quite a bit. Again, the goal of yoga is you're working through different planes of motion. So you got the flexation, you got the extension, you have the twisting, and you have the lateral type movements. You want to cover that in any type of stretching, agility, and of course, in yoga, we're also talking about the subtle body, the energetic body, and not just the physical body, but it's all connected. Duncan says, surprising, I cannot think I am stiff in the glutes, but once I get either knuckle on a tennis ball on them, I can feel the bruise areas that have been worked. They hold a lot of tension, physical tension, because they're involved, especially your workouts, they're involved in everything you do. Jump squats, as you said, your jump squats, your explosive lunges, your sprints. So yeah, anything that's going to help reduce that tension is going to be valuable. Destiny says that she's thankful to everyone for sharing their experiences, knowledge, and tips. I am absorbing it all, learning and growing. And you had a wonderful video on relating the body as an automobile yesterday, as a matter of fact. Very insightful stuff. So as far as sharing, very much appreciating your sharing as well as your inspiration. And for me, joy is an underrated value in fitness. When you're experiencing joy and you're sharing joy, you want to move. You want to get up and move. Joy is an undervalued quality in life, I think. We should always be uncovering those moments of joy. I almost said striving, but when you strive, it means it's absent. You're reaching for something that isn't there yet. And joy is the underlying presence of everything. When everything is still, quiet, silent, we find joy. And all we have to do is watch, which is the beautiful thing in nature. You find joy in every aspect of nature, just being out in it. As well as something I like to call fierce joy, which is that smile you see for some strange reason on Duncan Walsh's face when he's doing jump squats or jump lunges. There's that fierce joy of hurting, but hurting for a purpose, hurting for a reason, and knowing that you're doing it. No one's making you do it. That you're experiencing the body on edge. You see the same thing in Lewis when he's doing his 5-pump burpees. Duncan says, one thing I would recommend is to have an MRI. I understand it's expensive. It is very expensive here. And it can't be elective unless you own one. But worth saving up for. It might be elective somewhere, but it'd be hard to find, I think, in America. He goes on to say, to see exactly the state of your back and hips is fascinating, important knowledge there. You mentioned that once before on a talk, and I agree, although I think my spine, after thousands of miles on the trail and powerlifting and Olympic lifting, judo, taking hard falls in judo, falling down in my drinking days, my spine might be a bit of a mess. Yoga keeps me even keeled for sure, spine wise. Definitely helps me recover. It's yoga and my diet that allows me to train every day. Duncan says that yes, I'm a face cruncher, but you do see a lot of joy in your training, Duncan, and as well with Lewis. And I actually brought up joy because it is so evident in Destiny's training videos. What she's doing, she's staying in shape, and she's doing it with a lot of joy. But not only that, she's offering that joy to others. Hey, this is what you guys can do as well. Fitness doesn't have to be an awful experience for everyone. You can move, and you can move in various ways, fun ways, enjoyable ways, and it can be a joyful experience. And to be in shape is the best experience in the world. I equate being in shape with the higher states of meditation that I've reached. Um, to be at home in your body and just feel good in your body is something that you can't place a value on at all. Duncan says, I was asked, yes, you can have them here to pay for one. There might be some private companies here, but yeah, it would be fairly expensive, and it would be for people who I don't want to say people who can afford it, but people at that sort of upper crust level, not for a semi-retired wannabe YouTube star like me. Destiny says you can find strength and joy. Definitely. You can find strength and joy and strength. The two are interchangeable. As a matter of fact, I would say that when you know true joy, it's only then that you're strong, because you know that joy is not dependent upon outer substances. It's not dependent on having a drink in your hand. It's not dependent on how much money is in your bank account. It's not dependent on your social circles. True joy is independent, and that's true strength, because it can't be taken from you at all. It's the same with, true joy is love. And real love, true love, is without condition. It's not based on what you do for me. That's not love. That's some kind of exchange system that you have in a relationship. But it's not love. Joa, and I know we talked about this before, and I apologize once again. My friend from Brazil is here. How are you? Thanks for joining. I appreciate it. Destiny says, exactly. You can find joy and strength, definitely. And that's, again, that's true strength, not based upon, here's an example, Stephen Hawking's. Whenever you saw him, there was a glimmer in his eye, and here's somebody who was trapped in his body, physically had absolutely no strength, zero, and yet there was a presence to him, and he was joyful. He was happy to be alive. His mind was incredible. I mentioned the other day, Ken Keyes was a self-help author in the 70s. He wrote a bestseller, The Handbook to Higher Consciousness. I think another one, The Keys to Higher Consciousness. And he talked about elevating our demands to preferences as a means to being happy. And if you heard him talk on the radio or one of his tapes, you got this sense of he was just a truly, truly happy person. When he was interviewed, he just seemed very joyful. You never knew. I never knew until much later. He was actually paralyzed from the chest down, actually I believe from the neck down. He couldn't use his arms either, from late adult polio that he contacted, I believe, in the 40s. Duncan asked if I have a yoga programs in the same way one could have a fitness program, an 8-week yoga program, for example. I don't. I could certainly make one fairly easily. The funny thing for me is it's hard for me to distinguish between yoga and everything else in my life. The thought is that yoga is the postures, stretching. Yoga actually starts with ethics, what they call ethical restraints. You practice non-harming in order for peace to be enhanced. You practice non-lying in order for truth to be enhanced. There's 5 of them. And then you have 5 personal observances: cleanliness, discipline, surrender, self-study. And then you have the asanas, the postures. And postures originally were meant to hold steady, to be in a point of meditation, to hold that and have your thoughts, the fluctuation, the patterns cease. In the Yoga Sutras of Patanjali, he talks of yoga is the cessation of patterns of the mind. And that is the goal of the yoga asanas. And then you have breathwork, pranayama, and then you have withdrawing the senses, and then you have the stages of meditation that takes you all the way to samadhi, which is considered awakening, bliss consciousness, enlightenment. All of it ties together, though, in one system. It's only been in the past probably less than 100 years, that yoga has become identified with the physical postures, the poses. And of course, it does help you sit in meditation for longer periods because you're more at ease in your body, less aches and pains. You can be in a meditative position for a longer period of time. It's actually more closely associated with Ayurveda, which is a sister science of yoga, which is more of the personal care type thing. Let's see. Duncan says to monetize, you would create a Patreon account, create your yoga program, which you can sell. Then select more videos held on Patreon where people pay a small monthly subscription. I've heard of that, and I've seen it. Someone mentioned that to do that for my writing, for my blog. I'm not sure how it would do it, especially when I put all my blog stuff out there. I share it on social media. So why would someone pay when they can see it for free? And Duncan says the videos may complement the programs. Interesting. I'm interested in what people make advertisers. I know it takes 1,000 subscribers, and then you have you got to meet another standard before that. I often wonder what people get per month. I've never asked anyone though. Doesn't seem to be. I may wonder, but it still doesn't seem to be any of my business. It's interesting though. Duncan says that extra content is held on Patreon. I believe I'm pronouncing that correctly. I believe I pronounced it correctly that time and probably mispronounced it every other time. Honestly, I would probably just put it on YouTube, and if people found it helpful. I do have the Buy Me Coffee that I occasionally put here, and I put it on Facebook for my writing on my Facebook page, and occasionally someone does buy me coffee, and I try to make a point of actually buying my instant coffee with that money. For whatever reason, it makes me feel that I'm holding myself accountable. I'm being honest with the money that I get. Duncan says 1,000 subs and 4,000 hours of watch time for YouTube monetization. I could see the possibility of 1,000 subs. Maybe not anytime soon, but I can see the possibility. 4,000 hours seems to be a stretch. I'm not sure why someone would watch an entire set of 20 minutes of me bouncing up and down in my basement, on my basement floor. Now, there might be a market for half-naked, bald, upper middle-aged guys doing burpees in a basement. There might be a very specific market for that. And I'm just not smart enough to cash in on it. Duncan says, I think it's a frame of mind. There's nothing wrong with being supported to create your channel. You may be surprised with the watch time. It will be in your analytics. I was not aware that I had analytics, but I do agree 100% that it's nothing wrong with being supported for your creative content, which is why I'm out there, my spare time, I will go to YouTube and I will watch the people that I care about. I will watch the people who are excellent in what they do, and I'm including Duncan, Lewis, Destiny, all of that, to support the work that you guys do. So I try to make a point of putting that support out there and showing my appreciation for what you guys do. For me, appreciation is no small thing. You guys are bringing something into my life, so I'm thankful for that. Duncan says that bald or full head of hair, it's the content in the head that matters. I would agree with that as well. Especially as I'm more creative now with a shaved head than when I had a full head of hair. Maybe it was the hair that was holding me back the entire time. Maybe it was weighing down my brain, blocking the creative aura that was just waiting to be released. Of course, when I quit drinking, I cut my hair. So maybe that had something to do with it as well. Duncan says you will be helping even more people. I think if you have a business model designed to help people, that's a good thing. I think so too. A lot of it is technically seems beyond me. Duncan says that my hat keeps the aliens from reading my brain. That's what they want you to think. Really good point, so. Even the point about the aliens. I had a conversation, this was a while ago, with Gus and Aldo. We were talking about aliens. And for the life of me, I could not figure out why an alien would want to read my mind. They would get an incessant amount of yoga and vegan recipes. And other than that, not much else, to be honest. Or they might get some unwanted political views. Excellent point. Duncan says the alien may have back issues. This is true. Because they are built rather odd, and I imagine they are not used to gravity pulling down on them. So if they're here for any length of time, if they don't have back problems before, they're certainly going to have them now. So I will make a point. Maybe yoga for aliens is that niche that I'm looking for. That would be my money-making opportunity. Somehow, though, I don't think aliens would have Buy Me Coffee or PayPal. Maybe. I could be mistaken, though. Destiny says, go to your YouTube studio. First off, I have a YouTube studio. That's pretty awesome. And you'll learn more about your analytics. You said you didn't know you had analytics. I did not know I had analytics, and I did not know that I had a YouTube studio. I make a video on my phone. I hit the upload button. Sometimes when I have a typo in the description that I put on my phone, I go to the description on my video. I'm actually here right now. And I I correct it in the descriptions. And other than that, that's been the extent. It's been suggested several times that I do YouTube Shorts, and I have no idea how to do that. Or I don't think I've ever said anything in any discussion that I've had with you guys. I don't think I've ever made a point in less than a minute. So I'm not sure how that would work. All right. So I'm looking over at the side where I've never looked before because it never meant anything to me. And I see dashboard, content, analytics, subtitles, copyright. I see the earn. Interesting. Says that I've had 2.4K views, which is about the same as usual. My watch time is 87.9 hours. And you said 4,000 hours? Boy, I got some catching up to do. I have one more subscriber than usual. I have 315 now, which largely thanks to you guys for helping me out, which I appreciate. I don't see social media I don't see YouTube as my way to fame and fortune for me. I don't think the burpees are the thing that's going to catch people's attention, because there's better burpee practitioners than me by far. If I could find a way to be a little more concise in my talks, I would try to do a YouTube talk. I think Duncan has some excellent insights with the yoga. For me, the asanas, the physical, oddly enough, because you would think that would be my main point of interest, having a fitness background for my entire life. And you would think that I would have more of an interest in that. And I certainly do. I definitely have an interest. But of course, meditation and breathwork are the passions that I have. So I try to share that as much as possible, as well as the yogic psychology. And I try to make that difference between yogic psychology and yogic philosophy. Philosophy is interesting. Philosophy will deal with karma. It will deal with the yogic point of view of how the universe came to be. Psychology offers you that foundation of how to get from point A, where you don't want to be, to point B, where you would like to be. How to become more peaceful. How to have a easier life. And by easier, I don't mean bad things not happening. I mean that you're more at ease with the things that do happen. Let's see. Destiny says that your analytics is your YouTube report card. It keeps all your records and achievements and more. Report card day was my least favorite day of the school year. And both my parents were school teachers, so there was high expectations and quite a bit of sadness all around when that day finally came. Duncan says that you would be better with a business partner. You create content and the partner sorts out the rest. I definitely agree with that. But any business partner I'd have would be in for a long, slow, low-paying, long slog. It's interesting looking at the analytics. I guess it would help if I could pronounce it correctly. And amazing that I see that some videos I get 100 or a couple hundred views, and some I get very, very few. Hey, I'm always happy if one person clicks on and even just says hi. I know Barefoot Burpees mentioned that I seem to attract an awful lot of trolls. But you know what? Trolls are people too. If they come here, um, everyone's welcome. Duncan says that his brother trains dogs and their owners, which is important, actually. Probably more so for the owner, I think, but has no knowledge as to monetize on social media. He would also need a business partner to use his knowledge. Duncan says that, yes, the ones usually you mentioned, Navy SEALs or burpees, is your keywords. Interesting. I got to be honest, I don't know how to use keywords. It was mentioned to me on my blog quite a bit, how to choose better keywords. But I don't write like that. I write by whatever inspires me in the morning, and it's hard for me to pick a keyword, especially on the blog that I use. It has to be part of the writing that I'm doing. Duncan says that keywords are just terms more likely to be searched for, that's the hard thing for me for my writing, is because I don't imagine anyone particularly searching for the things that I write about. Maybe, I could be wrong. I get quite a few views on my blog for me. I will have occasional posts where I will get 1,000 or more views, which for me is pretty good. That's my main creative. Everything, YouTube and all the other stuff, that's for fun. My main creative thing is writing in my blog every day. Let's see. Duncan says that there will be many terms that you use that are searchable. The system I have in my blog, it has to, I think it has to be in the title. There's a gauge. There's actually a series of faces. You start off with an angry face, and then it gets to be a more pleasant face, and then a smiling face, and then it turns green and a big smiling face when you know you've done everything right. Or at least that's as right as I've ever gotten it. So I start with that, and I try to work my way up for the green stuff. So, all right, guys, coming up on an hour, and this has been a longer talk than I've done in some time. Very much enjoyable. Duncan, thanks for coming. Thank you for the insights. Very much appreciated. And I'm actually going to see what I can do with it. And Destiny, thank you for your insights and your inspiration as well. Lewis, thanks for joining the conversation. My friend from Brazil, thank you as well. Duncan, Duncan says he kept me chatting today. He certainly did, but that's appreciated. Because it keeps me on track, having something specific instead of just free-versing the entire time, which is enjoyable too, but sometimes it's just better to have that that one-track discussion. Thank you, Destiny. She says for a great discussion. Enjoy your day. Enjoy your day as well. I'm going to take everything that you guys said in consideration. I'm going to pass it on to the mastermind before it all, which is Mocha. And on our walk tomorrow, we're going to talk it over. Thank you, Duncan. You guys have a good day. Take care.